Hola mis amigos, we're making a keto chocolate hot water cake. We are going to start off by assembling our dry ingredients. So here in my sieve, I have 1 cup of almond flour along with 3/4 of a cup of coconut flour, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder along with a pinch of salt. And I am just going to run this all through the sieve and get everything nice and mixed together. And next we are actually going to add our sugar directly to our dry mixture. And we are of course making this keto, so I am using erythritol, but you do need about 2 cups of sugar total. So here I have 1.5 cups of erythritol, and I put it in my mini blender and blended it into a powder. And the reason we do that is because erythritol kind of has a cooling effect to it. So by blending it, we kind of get rid of a lot of those crystals that cause that. And to make up for the other 1/2 of a cup of sugar that we are missing, I'm going to be adding a teaspoon of liquid stevia drops. And that is going to help to equalize with the erythritol and make this taste just like real sugar. You won't even notice the difference. Okay, so now that our dry ingredients are all mixed up, we want to move on to the wet ingredients. And I completely forgot that at this point, we want to already have our water starting to boil. So I am actually just going to use an electric tea kettle like so. And I just wanted to show you guys this in case you are in the market for an electric tea kettle. I highly recommend getting one. I do have a couple of them. This one is from Willsence, and many of them are made the same. They have a base that you can remove the kettle from. This is where the heat actually comes from. And this one has some preset temperatures for you for your different teas and coffee, or to just boil water, as well as the keep warm function, which is very convenient for these because you can lift this and pour and sit it back onto the kettle or onto the base to retain the temperature. And this one also came with a tea strainer, but I don't use tea strainers with my electric kettles because I don't want to stain the glass, so I always just boil water. But you do have the option there if you do want to go ahead and strain tea directly into the kettle. So I will have a link in the description box below so that you can check it out if you do not own one. I highly do recommend having an electric tea kettle. I always boil my water in the tea kettle as opposed to on the stove because it is much faster. Why not get the extra help when you need it? So again, check the description box below for that. Now back to our recipe. Okay, so we are now all set to start adding in the wet ingredients, and I'm starting off with 3 eggs that I have beaten, along with 1/2 of a cup of heavy cream, 1/4 of a cup of melted butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and we're just going to get this all nice and combined. It might end up being a little bit lumpy, but don't forget we need to add the star of the show, which is our boiling water. So don't worry about the lumps just yet. We are just trying to get all of that well combined. Okay, so I have combined those ingredients, and now you can see we are in sort of a crumbly type of a dough consistency, and this is exactly where we want to be. And it's time to start adding our boiling water. We are adding 1 1/2 cups of boiling water, and I'm adding half of it first, and then we just want to kind of get this introduced and re-wet these ingredients, and you'll see that it starts to get to a more workable consistency. And you could easily use an electric mixer to make everything nice and easier, but I wanted to show you that you can definitely do this without. And as you've seen in my chocolate chip cookie recipes, I have always made a point to use just the hand whisk for those, to show you that anything is possible. So I'm just going to get all of this combined, and I'm going to add in that last bit of water. And this does look a little watery, but don't let this alarm you, because remember, we are working with coconut flour as well, and coconut flour loves to drink up whatever moisture you give it. And you can see in just a few seconds, since I added that last bit of water, it's already starting to come together in a nice consistency for us, and it smells really good and chocolatey. So at this point, we're going to call this nice and combined, so we can go ahead and add this into our pan. Okay, so we are back, and my choice of baking dish is going to be my 13 by 9 inch glass baking dish. And I almost forgot to add my liquid stevia to the batter. So definitely make sure you do that. I did add 1 teaspoon of liquid stevia, and that is if you are doing like I did, and that is cutting the erythritol portion down by a half a cup. So instead of the 2 cups of sugar, we used 1.5 cups of erythritol and the 1 teaspoon of liquid stevia to make up for the extra half a cup of sugar that we are missing. And I did go ahead and add that to the batter. So now I am pouring the batter directly into my pan. And I don't remember if I mentioned my pan is buttered. I did rub it down with some butter, but I'd imagine you really wouldn't have to do that. And my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And since I am using glass, mine is going to take probably about 45 minutes to get done. But I would say it's anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes depending on what dish you are using. I'm going to check on it at about 35 minutes just to see how it is doing. And then I'm still working with my whisk. You probably want a spatula, but I'm just going to spread this out. And this is going to rise a little bit. Remember, this is keto, of course, but we do have the baking powder in here. So it is going to rise up, and we have the egg in there, of course, as well as a leavening agent. So that is all that there is to it. We are all set to bake. Again, that is 350 degrees. And for me, it'll be about 45 minutes. I will be checking on it in 30 minutes, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so we are back and out of the oven, and the cake came out beautifully. It did take mine 40 minutes to pass the toothpick test, and it did do so exactly at the 40-minute mark. So at this point, I am just going to allow it to cool before I cut into it. With keto baking, you do have to be careful sometimes, because when you cut straight into something that is using an alternative flour, it can crumble on you. That may not be the case with this cake specifically, but just a heads up for many different other dishes that you might be baking, you definitely want to give it the time to cool, as hard as it may be. You can also definitely go ahead and frost this cake if you like, but I was just craving a chocolate cake, so this is going to be just enough sweetness for me. Once again, thanks to our friends at Willsence for the kettle. I do highly recommend you get yourself an electric kettle, and if you're interested, I do have the information in the description box below for you to purchase one for yourself. Keto chocolate hot water cake. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the dinner table.